Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today is November 19th, 2025. I'm here with you to analyze Bitcoin using the Tulsa Market Screener tool for the morning analysis. As always, these analyses are purely educational and informational, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss is entirely your own. So, as usual, we've considered trades from yesterday, from November 18th up to now, and filtered the trades for tomorrow, November 20th. You can see that the curve shows a volatile situation. The bottom of this volatility is from 88,300, the peak profit is from 91,900, and the ceiling is shown as 95,200. If we look at the details of the trades, the majority, about 100 Bitcoin, is with call buyers targeting 93,500, which, considering the recent upward movement and the timing of the trades, seems to have been achieved. Put buyers, however, are targeting 89,500, and it seems we are currently moving toward that target. Among the sellers, with about 40 Bitcoin, the majority are call sellers, again with a ceiling of 93,400, which we can also consider achieved. Put sellers have set the floor at 89,600 for the price. Therefore, it seems that another move toward the previous bottom, around 89,300 to 89,400, is on the agenda. If we look at the next chart, we've moved the slider forward to review trades from the start of today. As you can see, the curve becomes completely downward, and a large volume of puts has been bought for 87,000. Of course, it's possible that we might see a slight short move upward, which is also present at the top and shows a ceiling in 93,500, but clearly the tendency is for a downward movement, and our direction is towards 88,000, 87,000, 86,000. Let's move on and look at the next chart. In this chart, we've shifted the expiration to Friday, November 21st. You can see that at first, the situation is completely downward, as shown in this image, and right now, we're also close to the maximum gamma point for put buyers. In fact, we're at that point, and the price is ready to move in the direction of delta, which is downward. It will move, and its target is 86,000. If we also consider the end of the delta ascending phase, which, yes, you should, the red dot, the red arrow, is almost the end of the delta ascending phase, and we reach around 85 to 86. Overall, you can see the bearish outlook from this chart. In this image, you can see that again, for the November 21st expiration, we've moved the slider forward and once more considered trades from the start of today for the November 21st expiration. What's really interesting is that the downward leg has moved out of profit, and the likelihood, the intensity of the downward movement has faded. Since we considered trades from the start of today, the downward pressure from yesterday has eased. The market's fear has subsided a bit, and prices have moved somewhat higher. In fact, in this chart, you can see that the lows have risen to around 91,800. The peak profit has shifted to 106,500, and the ceiling has moved to 107,800. What's interesting is that you can see how, with the price increase, the delta has sharply moved downward. This shows that, over a very large range, traders have been selling call options heavily. In other words, they expect the price ceiling to be reached within a wide range. This ceiling has even been seen around 107,000 to 108,000. Well, this in itself could even give someone a bullish outlook, since they've set the ceiling quite high in this chart. Now, in the next image, we've shifted the expiration date to the 22nd, meaning we're looking at trades from yesterday to today for the Saturday 22nd expiration. As you can see, the curve is completely bullish, though it's 8,500 Bitcoin, but still, a very nice upward trend is visible in the curve. The price seems to be forming a bottom, with the previous bottom at 89,000, though it could drop as low as 85,000 by the end of the delta curve's exponential phase, and puts have been sold down to that level. You can see the bottom is set higher, but the start of the bullish move and call buying begins at 95,000. So 95,000 is basically where call selling ends, and if it breaks 95,000, call buying really starts, and we could see a pretty decent bullish move that could continue up to 101,000 and then even 105,000. In the next image, as always, we've overlaid the buyer and seller curves. There's a really beautiful symmetry in the curves, with strong agreement at 95,000 on the upside and about 88,150 on the downside. As we said, the curves are beautifully symmetrical, and both agreements fall exactly on the break-even line. There's no zone, just a point. There's a lot of agreement at both the top and bottom. This shows that, just a few hours ago, we moved up to about 94,000 and some change, so we can say the upside has been achieved, and now our likely target is the lower agreement at 88,000. Let's move to the next image. We've entered these same points into the indicator, and again, you can see that our trend is still downward. But the point is, the momentum of this decline has decreased, the momentum is lower, and some of that fear has subsided. Now, let's get to the strategies. We've filtered trades above 12 Bitcoin for tomorrow's expiration. What you see is a strategy similar to an iron condor worth 60 Bitcoin, with its maximum profit in the range between 94,000 and 95,000. It's really interesting. Tomorrow, it has a very narrow range between 94,000 and 95,000 for its peak profit, and it wants the price to fluctuate there. There's going to be a lot of volatility. Right now, we're around 90,000 or 91,000, so a reversal is possible. Even today, this strategy suggests we should expect a quick reversal. The profit entry point for this curve is at 92,800. So friends, let's review this in the conclusion. Moving to the next slide, yes, the next strategy is another one for tomorrow's expiration, worth 25 Bitcoin. It's basically a short strangle, with a volatility range seen between 99,000 and 91,000. This strategy is more realistic, with less risk, meaning it expects the price to fluctuate between 99,000 and 91,000 tomorrow and sees profit in that range. Now, let's look at a super strategy. Here, we've shifted the expiration to Friday, November 21st, and analyzed contracts above 30 Bitcoin. We identified two very heavy bullish spread strategies totaling 800 Bitcoin. That is, two strategies together have set up 800 Bitcoin in bullish spreads for Friday. Their maximum profit is at 98,000, with the profit entry point at 95,200, and the midpoint of their profit curve is at 96,500. This is a very important and interesting strategy. It was entered yesterday, I think on the 18th, and again, it's fascinating. This strategy shows that if it's going to play out, we should expect a relatively exciting and quick reversal to the upside because we only have a day or two left, so a strong upward move needs to happen in the next 2 days for this strategy to reach its maximum profit. Finally, you can see the liquidity heat map for the last 48 hours, where the liquidity cluster at 94,000 is clearly visible. It's a significant amount of liquidity and could be a future price target. There's also liquidity around 88,000 at the bottom, which the price could collect in the final moments before moving up. Overall, it seems the market is showing signs of recovery. I think we're close to the bottom. Maybe we're already at the bottom, and maybe we won't even see 88,000. The market is planning a retest of 89,300 based on these bullish strategies we've seen. Friends, keep an eye on 89,300. We might hit that level, form a double bottom, and set the stage for a rally upward. So, watch how the price reacts at 89. One scenario is that we get a double bottom, in which case we're heading for 95,000 and 98,000. Of course, before that, there's naturally the 93,000 level, but if 89,300 doesn't hold, then we're heading for the 88 and 85,000 levels. But even if the price moves down to those levels, given the strategies we've seen, I think there's still room for optimism. Those could ultimately be the bottom. But even right now, in my opinion, we've seen a good spot. And once the 92,000 gap is filled, there might not be any more reason for the price to go lower. It's quite possible that we're already at the bottom and could soon see an upward move. Thank you for your attention, and until the next analysis, goodbye.